Okay, we are now going to finish Abraham chapter 1. And we will talk, there's a lot to talk about in the rest of this chapter, so let us get into it. Starting in verse 20. Behold, Potiphar's hill was in the land of Ur of Chaldea, and the Lord broke down the altar of Elkanah and of the gods of the land, and utterly destroyed them, and smote the priest that he died. And there was great mourning in Chaldea, and also in the court of Pharaoh, which Pharaoh signifies king by royal blood. So God not only killed the priest, and he did not only freed Abraham, but he killed the priest and totally destroyed the altar with all the idols, just obliterated them. But here we go. This is a very important doctrinal point here coming up. Pay very close attention to the rest of chapter 1. And now, starting, this is verse 21. Now, this king of Egypt was a descendant from the loins of Ham, and was a partaker of the blood of the Canaanites by birth. From this descent sprang all the Egyptians, and thus the blood of the Canaanites was preserved in the land. We'll get back to that in a moment. The land of Egypt being first discovered by a woman, who was the daughter of Ham, and the daughter of Egyptus, which in the Chaldeans signifies Egypt, which signifies that which is forbidden. When this woman discovered the land, it was under water, who afterwards settled her sons in it. And thus from Ham sprang that race which preserved the curse in the land. Now the first government of Egypt was established by Pharaoh, the eldest son of Egyptus, the daughter of Ham. And it was after the manner of the government of Ham, which was patriarchal. I'm going to pause it there for just a minute. Notice the family here. We have Ham is married to Egyptus. She's the only wife of any of the sons of Noah that we have a name for in Scripture. Well, I mean, there are other traditions that give other names, but this is the only one that has a revealed name, Egyptus. Then Ham has his daughter, Egyptus, named after her mother. But, as I mentioned in an earlier video, the land of Egypt in the Hebrew is named after another one of Ham's sons, Mizraim. Mizraim is the name of Egypt in the ancient Hebrew, which suggests to me that Egyptus and Mizraim were married. They were husband and wife. And yes, I know they're brother and sister, but this is after the flood. They had very little options. You will also note they preserved the curse in the land, which means the sons of Shem and the sons of Japheth, the children of Shem and Japheth, did not marry the children of Ham, because Ham's seed preserved the curse. Also note, they are partakers of the blood of the Canaanites by birth. But they were not descendants of Ham's son Canaan. So how are they partakers of the blood of the Canaanites? Because this term Canaanite refers back to Cain and Abel and the original curse placed on Cain at that time. Ham's wife, Egyptus, was a descendant of Cain. And thus all of her children had the blood of Cain in them. And that is how, as it says, sprang that race which preserved the curse in the land. This is how the curse of Cain survived the flood. Because Ham married a descendant of Cain, therefore all of his children were the descendants of Cain. This is what the scriptures say. I know a lot of people don't like it in the modern day, but this is what the scriptures say. But that does not mean that all the children of Ham were evil people. Most of his immediate children were probably righteous people. But they could not have the priesthood. And we'll see that. Let's continue reading this. We'll see that in here too. So, verse 26. Pharaoh, being a righteous man, established his kingdom, and judged his people wisely and justly all his days. Pharaoh was a great guy. But let's see. Seeking earnestly to imitate that order established by the fathers in the first generations, in the days of the first patriarchal reign, even in the reign of Adam, and also of Noah his father, who blessed him with the blessings of the earth and with the blessings of wisdom, but cursed him as pertaining to the priesthood. Now Pharaoh, being of that lineage by which he could not have the right of the priesthood, notwithstanding, the Pharaohs would fain claim it from Noah through Ham. Therefore my father was led away by their idolatry. But I shall endeavor hereafter to delineate the chronology running back for myself to the beginning of the creation, for the records have come into my hands, which I hold unto this present time. Now there's a couple of things here, a couple of very important things. Ham had the priesthood. He was not a descendant of Cain. All of the sons of Noah had the priesthood. But his sons could not have the priesthood. It says, Pharaoh, being of that lineage by which you could not have the priesthood. Pharaoh was not the son of Ham's son Canaan. And this is not talking about his descendants. It's saying he was born into a line that was denied the priesthood. Noah is said to have blessed Pharaoh with the blessings of the earth and the blessings of wisdom. He was going to prosper. He was going to have, good crops, good production, good industry. And he was a wise ruler. He was a great man. Pharaoh was a great man. But, notwithstanding all of that, he was born into the line that could not hold the priesthood. He was cursed him as pertaining to the priesthood, because he was of the lineage. Descendant of Cain, he could not hold the priesthood. He was righteous. He tried to set up his kingdom according to the patriarchal order. He wanted to imitate Adam as much as he could. But his descendants, the later kings, who all apparently take on the name of Pharaoh, which we do know happened. All the rulers of Egypt took on the name of Pharaoh because that was the name of the first king. They didn't like the idea that they couldn't have the priesthood, and so they claimed it. They decided they could have it because Ham had it. And because Ham had it, they believed they had a right to it. And because they took it on false claims, because they did not actually have a right to the priesthood, they had to create a false priesthood. And using this false priesthood, they drew away many into idolatry. The last thing I want to mention here before I finish out the chapter, he says here, delineate the chronology running back from myself to the beginning, for the records have come into my hands. In other words, the records beginning with Adam. Remember, Adam kept a book of remembrance. All the righteous at the time of Adam kept a book of remembrance. And that record was kept by each patriarch going down the line until now, when Abraham now has that record. Abraham had the original record of Adam and Noah and all those patriarchs. But he's saying what he's saying here is that the history of Egypt was not written on that record. And so he's going to give us the two different things. He's going to tell us what was going on in Egypt, or the heathen world, as well as what is going on in the covenant line. He's going to delineate between the two. Again, we have this mention of the records being kept, the records of the people, of the righteous. He had the scriptures, in other words. He knew the truth. He knew the scriptures. And that will be a running theme throughout most of the scriptures, is the records being kept. But let us finish out the chapter. Verse 29. Now after the priest of Elkanah was smitten that he died, there came a fulfillment of those things which was said unto me concerning the land of Chaldea, that there should be a famine in the land. Accordingly, a famine prevailed throughout all the land of Chaldea, and my father was sorely tormented because of the famine. And he repented of the evil which he had determined against me, to take away my life. But the records of the fathers, even the patriarchs, concerning the right of priesthood, the Lord my God preserved in my own hands. Therefore, a knowledge of the beginning of the creation, and also of the planets, and of the stars, as they were made known unto the fathers, have I kept even unto this day. And I shall endeavor to write some of these things upon this record, for the benefit of my posterity that shall come after me. In other words, the book of Abraham that we have is not part of that original record of Adam. Abraham did add his portion to that original record. That's what I'm saying. And as they were made known unto the fathers, have I kept unto this day. So he added to the record, and he has kept the record. And all the patriarchs before Abraham, all the righteous ones, they had a knowledge of the creation, of the stars, of the planets. They had, and we'll read this later in Abraham, there is a lot of profound doctrine about the creation in the book of Abraham. And Abraham does share it with us, as he says he's going to. But it was knowledge, and I honestly think it was only a part of the knowledge that these ancient patriarchs truly had. God gave these men extraordinary knowledge. And that knowledge has been withheld from the rest of the world throughout all the ages. Nobody else has had it, except a select few people. And we today don't have this knowledge either. We got a portion of it in the book of Abraham, but we don't have the full knowledge. And I don't think we will have the full knowledge until we have the faith and the righteousness of these ancient patriarchs. These men lived at a time when the world was horribly wicked. I mean, God destroyed it in a flood. And yet they had such faith. Remember the stories of Enoch moving mountains and turning rivers out of their course. These men had extraordinary faith, and they had extraordinary knowledge. And until we have that faith, we can never have that knowledge. But we will look at more of Abraham next time.